Alright, this is going to be a walkthrough of a Traktor mapping I made for the Midi Fighter 3D. It's got a lot of configuration around the motion. I sort of made it so that I could screw around with different motion settings on the fly even. And so it's working with the remix deck firmware. So here's HID mode. HID toggles over on the right side in the middle. So I'm just going to click that and toggle back and forth between my mapping and HID mode. So this is the main menu. There's 5 menus in my mapping plus HID mode. So you navigate those with the side buttons here. The main menu you get to just by exiting out of whatever menu you're in. So for example, there's a menu up here in the top right. I'm going to click that. I'm in this other menu. I just click it again and I'm back at the main. So the main's pretty similar to Instant Grat. The main difference is the top row, I guess. These bank buttons you use to choose which decks you want to send effects to, so you can hit any or all of them. I guess we'll do 1 and 4. Well, let's go ahead and turn on a couple so you can see better. Yeah, so the top row is cue points over here on the right. There's 1, Q2. With shift, they're 3 and 4. This button here is just loop toggle, so loop on, loop off. If you're in an active loop, this will flash green instead of just this solid green. And when you hold shift, you use this to toggle through your decks as the active deck. So it goes blue, cyan, green, chartreuse, so kind of like blue, weird blue, green, weird green, something like that. This is your play pause when you hold shift. And when you're not holding shift, it's an echo freeze. It works a little differently, I think, than most echo freezes. You hold it down. Let's go to the start here. And you get this quarter note delay. And then when you release, then it dies out. This button you see right next to it lighten up is just a 3/16 delay. So you can hear that there. And there's kind of some cool interaction between them. You can sort of play around, get that one, echo out, change to that value, come back in, just go straight from the 3/16 one. So I kind of like that interaction. Over here are some filters with some interaction between them too. They're just different values for the same filters, so you can sort of change the speed at which the LFO oscillates. Additionally, if you're not holding this button down on the left and you hit the one on the right, it resets the LFO clock. So you can always, figure out exactly where it's going to be when, you do a slow sweep or whatever. And it's pretty subtle. I sort of wanted this to just be like a long slow sweep sort of filter, and I use this mostly to get to, like, say the bottom, the low peak, and then ride it all the way up. Sort of like that. I don't know if you can hear it too well. Let's see. So the next row is just beat mashers. And it's got that break effect in there. Then gators. Reverb and a lo-fi. And any of these, if you're holding shift, you can tap it on. Or if you're holding it down, you can press shift and just release it. And that's true actually of this echo freeze too, so you can get just that quarter note delay part of it. Something like that. And it will spill over, you will get that tail, so you have these, if you really want to kill the tail and not let it sort of echo over, like, let's see. Something like that, it'll just cut right back to the music, then you tap off that echo. So yeah, that's the main page there. These 3 buttons on the left all have a different menu. The first one is just a looping menu with the top row identical to the first page, so you can still pick which deck is going to be active here. So I'm going to be looping on deck 1. So these are beat jumps. They all jump in reverse to start. This is 4, 2, 1 and a half. With shift, they jump forward. And a great way to sort of skip through a phrase if you don't want to, if your phases are out of sync or phrases. These bottom buttons here all control looping. So this is just setting a 32-beat loop. You see that flashing because we're in the active loop. And then 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. And then these just adjust the size of the loop. So they either double it or cut it in half. When you're at a 30-second or really at any point, you can hold Shift and these will loop for you. If you're into that, and just exit that loop. So yeah, we're in this menu from the top left. I can just tap the top left and go back and forth between the main menu. The next two menus are just banks of hotkeys with fancy colors. So I'm going to press the middle button. These are hotkeys for A and B. So 1 to 4 at the top and 5 to 8 underneath. So I can just launch those. You see the beat phase going there on these inner rows. That works with scratch control too, which I really like. So I'll move this back and forth a little bit, and you can sort of see like right where the start of your sound is, right there. It helps to put a grid marker right there. But it's easier for me to follow that than a sticker. So here on the bottom menu is just the HotCues for 3 and 4. I don't have anything loaded up here, so you just get this default color. This is low blue, and on the other menu, the default color is low red, and the rest of them are just color coded to the type of cue point. So if it's not loaded, you can just tap it and set a cue point. And I didn't show this. This bottom right button on the side doesn't have any menu associated with it. So this is sort of like a shift button. So you hold it down and you can delete the cue points that way. Yeah, and then over here, we're looking at deck C and D. Except deck D is a remix deck. So for any of these 4 decks, if it's a remix deck, the controls are going to automatically be different. So I'm going to kill the sound on that one, and the controls are just mute and unmute up here, and then the bottom row just launches each bank. And you still have that beat indicator. So yeah, that's the third menu there, 2 HotCue menus. The last menu up here is the motion configuration menu, I guess. Nothing on here actually actively will like turn on an effect by itself. It's purely just assigning stuff to the different axes. Let's go with that. It's a little better tune. So yeah, this is just motion on and off. So I'm going to turn it on right there. And then these 4 buttons here are each custom effects slots. So there's 10 different effects for each of these, and you can assign them to any of the 4 axes. So this is right and left and south and north. So you notice these 5 buttons down here light up, and if I hold shift, they're a different color. So it's 2 pages of 5 menus, 2 pages of 5 effects each. So this one's ready to get armed right now, so I'll just hit a flanger there, and on the left I'll put like Mulholland Drive, and then a delay, and like I think it's a reverb. So yeah, you can see now as I move to the right, I'm going to get this flanger. And then the left is Mulholland Drive. Oh, that makes sense. Got to actually send it to a deck. So there's that flanger. And Mulholland Drive. You get a delay. And then going that way, we get that reverb. So yeah, that's the custom effects. You just hit it twice to clear it. And yeah, I like those colors. So oh, my track end warning just came on. That's on any of the shift buttons. So I'm just going to exit out of that menu, and I'm back at the main, and I'll jump to the start, and you see the track end indicator went off. So yeah, that's just an indicator. It's always still just the shift button. So yeah, all that's left is these 5 buttons here, and they all go through the same color pattern, which is that blue, cyan, green chartreuse again. And what that corresponds to is north, east, south, and west. So, for example, this is the filter button. So I just hit it once, I just assigned it north. So as I move north, the filter on deck A is going to move, and if I turned these other ones on, they would move too. So I like to send these even when I'm over in HID mode, and you don't get the light feedback, but you see on the screen that I actually am still toggling these on and off. So even when I'm over here launching clips, I can, toggle effects on and off for, whatever. So yeah, back here, like I said, that's the filter north right now. I'll turn it east, and see what's going on. And there they go, and south works. But each of these only goes in one direction right now, so you won't get the effect the other way. If you want the effect two ways, you just hold shift as you assign it. So I can go to the normal north and have just north like before, but I can hold shift as I turn it to the east, and now as I move this way I get the high pass filter, but I did the dual axis assignment with shift there, so I'm going to get the low pass the other direction. And that's true for any of these 5. They all just have that same pattern. The only thing is, for west, you can only get a single axis. I don't have a dual axis for west, because that would be a little weird to want to say like pan to the right as you tilt left and pan to the left as you tilt right. That's kind of weird. So this right here is the key bend. So I just put it north. So there goes the key bend. I can hold shift and put it, like the filter was a minute ago, on both axes. And again, that'll only hit the decks that you've got selected up here. Then this one is just the pan, so I can pan to the right that way, and I didn't hold shift, so it's not going to do it the other way. Then up here, I'm just going to exit out of these, and up here we have, these are the rates for all your effects except for the custom ones. So you see it just adjusts those, and that's a relative movement too. So if you go too far and max them all out and come back, they're actually going to be not at their default spots, which can be annoying sometimes. So I have this thing, if you hold shift and hit the motion toggle button, it'll be motion toggle with reset, which means that every time you're moving the MIDI fighter around and changing these effects, every time you come back to the flat position, it's going to kick everything back to its default spots, just for the effects, because those move relatively. These 3 over there, they all move directly, so there's no way every time, there's no such thing as overshooting. So for the rates up here, they do have the potential to be overshot, so I like using that sometimes, but it's still kind of an experimental feature, I guess. Then this last one, I'll hit it again so it's looking east. That is just the depth knobs of the first 3 effects banks. So pretty much all the effects on the main menu here will be affected by that, but also effects east and west here. Those will also be affected by that rate adjustment. So you can sort of, let's say, like bring in that filter and get the wet dry on it going. Probably work better if I turn this south or something. So now I can kick in that flanger and then mess with the wet dry knob coming this way. Get some good XY control. So yeah, that's all the controls. I know this page can maybe seem a little daunting, so the last button here that doesn't control a menu is sort of like a preset button. So you hold it down, and while you're holding it, you can press any of the 4 menu buttons. It's not HID toggle, and it'll load different presets. So the biggest one by far is initialize, which I have on the same side here. So with my thumb, I'm holding down the bottom button, and then I'm going to hit the top button also, and we see it kick me back to the main menu. All this stuff is like it should be, but if you go back here, you notice everything's off. So all the effects are off, this is off, everything's cleared. resets a bunch of modifiers and stuff too. So if you ever get in a weird state with this mapping and just want to, have like a clean state or a reboot almost, you just can initialize. Now I also have a reset, which will pretty much just kick all your knobs to 12 o'clock. It won't change anything on here, but if you have been moving stuff around and it gets a little screwed up or something, it's straight across from the preset button, so the two bottom side buttons, and that just kicks all the knobs to 12 o'clock, like your filter and your key bend and stuff. Then the other two presets here, let's go there. The other two presets just sort of load some effects here, so I'm going to go ahead and initialize, go back here. I'm going to take my phone hand down here and hold the shift button on the right, and over on the left I clicked the top button. So what this loaded is, you see Mulholland Drive South. This is a filter, dual axis, so left and right. Initialize, so it turns those off. So there's the... Alright. So there's the filter, left and right. Notice it has my rates coming down as I go back, but Mulholland Drive kicking in. And then I can bleed into whatever effects I have. So let's hear that with like a beat masher, I guess. So there's the beat masher, but instead I'm going to come back first, and there's Mulholland Drive. And I'm going to build into that beat masher again, something like that. So yeah, that's the first preset, and also going this way, the rates and the depths of all your standard effects are going to increase. So the last preset, I'm going to do this again, hold shift. This time I pressed the middle button on the left side, and this one only loaded, well, it loaded 4 custom effects, and then also has that wet dry adjust going to 2 axes, so low that way and high that way. So it's got that same Mulholland Drive sort of effect, or I could do that same little beat masher trick, something like that. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole mapping, I guess. If I've forgotten something, I'll put it in the comments. But yeah, I'm definitely looking for suggestions for version 2. So yeah, let me know. Please comment. Thanks.